Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this other edition of Prime on My Media Prime. Traditionally, on Tuesdays, we are looking at issues touching on relationship and marriage, and because of the so many calls for a revisitation of last week's edition of Prime Hour, today we are going to be looking at a topic we treated last week as part 2. Should divorced couples continue love making? How do we sort out such cases? Many persons are actually writing to ask if there is that possibility. Yes, there is that opportunity. Though it happens in the dark, persons come back, sneak into rooms and hotel rooms with persons that actually they all know they are divorced with for many reasons. What are some of these reasons? What are the implications of such relationships? We're going to be looking at it today, but also we're going to be looking at a second topic that we were supposed to discuss last week, which has to do with the balance between exercising patience and marriage delay. To what extent should we exercise patience in a relationship and a marriage proposal, and where do we call it quit? We are going to be discussing these two topics for this edition of the program with our regular panelists who are in the house. Apostle Ambe, Valentine Ngwa is in the house with us. He is a permanent consultant. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my co-panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians, and welcome to today's edition of Prime Hour. The subject matter of last week was so hot and demanding that we are forced to repeat it today, because we think most homes across the board are suffering from serious sexual challenges, and by the grace of God, we're going to be handling that subject today critically.
Okay, we also are in the company of Apostle Alfred Esingeh, who is an expert in the domain, a regular panelist for Tuesday editions. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu, for the great opportunity you're giving us to talk to the society and also to get the society be a better place. And I greet my fellow panelists this evening.
Okay, we also are in the company of Reverend Tatoh Kenneth, an expert in the domain and a regular Tuesday edition panelist. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Good evening to Apostle Ambe, Apostle Esingeh, and another person.
Yes.
Good evening to our viewers. We are so glad to be on board again tonight. We trust the Lord that this very topic that many people are asking that we talk over it again, we're going to be able to share tips and tidbits that will be a blessing to many homes. Stay glued to your screens.
Okay. Well, exceptionally, for the very first time on this Tuesday edition of the program, Mrs. Asanji Yvette, who regularly takes part on this edition, on this program from Bomenda, Northwest Regional Capital, is live with us in the studio for the very first time. She's going to be taking part with us. Let me welcome her. Mr. Asanji, please. Just permit me to do this. Welcome. Yes. She's here for the very first time with us, and Mr. Asanji, Mrs. Asanji, we're glad to have you on this platform for the very first time.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Mr. Leo, being part of this beautiful family. I've been contributing from the Northwest. Today I am here, so it's going to be very hot. It's going to be very hot. And Mr. Asanji, thank you for... Is he around with you in Douala? Yes, he's actually watching. Okay, Mr. Asanji, I'm sure I'm going to meet you after the program with Madam, so that we can maybe celebrate our unborn house. Are we doing it in Douala today? Sure. Okay. Okay, I will start the program with you, Apostle Ambe, Valentine Ngwa. So many persons are still wondering the possibility of making love with someone who has been declared divorced by either the man or the husband. Does it still happen? Have you handled cases?
Yes, Mr. Leo. Because of this topic, I had to go for a research last week. Okay. There was a case in court for divorce. Mm-hmm. A man and a woman had filed in for divorce, and the case was in progress, only for the judge to realize after a month or two that the woman was pregnant. And when investigations were carried out, it was a man that had filed in for the divorce. That impregnated the woman. The judge said the case is dismissed. You can't be impregnating a woman you want to divorce. Mm-hmm. So that's how the case ended in court. It is not strange. It's very, very normal in our society. The thing is, most people don't understand that very slim and very nonchalant reasons cause people to divorce, and they sometimes divorce and regret it. And sometimes when they divorce and regret it, it becomes very difficult for them to really actually separate. I have seen cases where a man will separate with a woman. In the course of the man coming to visit the children, they will start making love. Once children are in between the two of them, it's another bridge. Because when a man gives birth to a child with a woman, those children stand as a bridge for eternity. Whether you like it or not, if the man keeping the children, the mother will come. If the woman keeping the children, the man will go there. And sometimes that attachment, that soul tie, because sex is far beyond the insertion of a man's penis into a man's vagina. It's a matter of soul tie. Two of you become bonded soul-wise. And it becomes very difficult for you to detach from each other. Sometimes it is really, really very difficult to divorce because a lot of things are in place. And so sometimes when you find people have divorced and then they come back again, start making love, it is not strange. It is not strange. We've seen it repeatedly over and over. These are the reasons I want to point out here today. Number one, the truth is, I've said it and I'm still repeating it. Some people have good wives who are not good sex partners. We have spoken compatibility in almost everything, but I have not spoken compatibility in sex. There is compatibility in the domain of sex. There must be a mutual connection between two parties. And sometimes when that mutual connection is missing, these two parties now begin to separate and find comfort in other people's harm. These are the reasons why adultery is easily manifested in marriages. But when a case where a man finds a sex partner who might not be a wife material, this one to have to understand. There could be a sex partner who is not a wife material. She doesn't have an attitude of somebody who can cater for children. She doesn't have that motherly attitude. She does not have the care of a husband. She keeps offending you. She's nagging. But once you go to bed with her, she knows all the dictates of bedmatism and all the gymnastics in bed. Men leave that particular sector of the marriage very satisfied. Apart from that, nothing else. And so now when they separate, because of the woman's bad attitude, they find it very difficult to find someone else that can meet up that demand for sex, and vice versa. Some women can leave a man because of a bad attitude, arrogance, always being right, not willing to listen to a woman, no care, no concern, but the man is a very good partner in bed. Such a woman can separate with you far away, but when it comes to the area of bed, she can never depart from you. We had a testimony here last time of a man and a woman who separated, but the woman says she cannot resist the man because the man meets her demand in that area. So sex is far beyond just a man meeting a woman in bed. There are people who are compatible in that area. And that's the reason why it is possible to divorce somebody and don't divorce in that area, because both of you are compatible in that area.
Okay. Yes, this issue, why are people actually not very convinced that people could be divorced and yet having a love affair?
Yes, like we were saying the other day, that a lot of people rush to divorce when they did not really take time to study and see whether it was meant to divorce or for a separation. Mm-hmm. You can have a time of separation, which necessarily does not mean it is a divorce. You can separate for some time and then come back again. But if you rush and go into a divorce case, a situation, you have already put yourself in bondage. And a lot of people find themselves victim in this case. I have seen a situation where people heavily cut off from the relationship that it was having a bond of love, a soul tie. They cut off, and the next person rushes and go and get married. This other one become a problem. They say you will not stay in that house until something has happened or something is going to happen. I'm going to kill people. I'm going to do this and do this. There is this bond. Sex is a bond. Sex is a bond. We must accept it. If you sleep with a prostitute, you become one with a prostitute. If you sleep with anything in this world, you become one with that thing. The worst one is someone that you have been sleeping with continuously for years, and then you separate. Now, I'm not talking about the one that you people have been playing that kind of a thing, killing mosquito when people are making love. That kind of one, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one that they were doing, they were taking the thing to gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, gear 4. To separate, it is very, very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Now, people find it strange because they know that you did not want the woman. Let her go. You did not want the man. Let him go. But something is holding them. And sometimes it may not necessarily be sex. It may not necessarily be sex. It may just be that fun. That man used to make me to laugh. When he makes me to laugh like that, I get amorous. I get aroused, and I feel like I want sex at that moment. That's exactly the kind of thing. Because some of you, some men don't know how to chat a woman. Even the one you marry, you are supposed to be chatting the woman. Now, this particular man that knows how to chat the woman very well breaks that particular relationship. The woman is frustrated. Waits for someone that can make her laugh. No one can make her laugh. Now she meets this same man again, and she feels that this man is able to make her laugh. And every time that she laughs and she feels fine, she feels like having sex. How many of you know that sometimes the best way to solve marital problems is through sex? And that's why we think that sometimes these people feel that when they continue in sex after they have separated, they may one day come back to one. And I think that the society feels that some laws are put in place, and those laws must be respected. If you rush and say, I want to break a relationship, obviously you must be ready to bear the cat, or maybe you bear the consequences of what is happening. So I think that is what is making people to feel bad. They say, no, you disrespected the woman, or you disrespected the man, and now you're coming back again that you want this man. Nothing is supposed to go on. But I'm thinking that this relationship issue begins from two people, and it ends with two people. Even though we say there are families are supposed to be there, but there is a need to understand that relationship is between two people. If they choose that, if they choose that they want to come back, we don't have a choice. We just need to watch them as they play the games. Sometimes they may play that game and still end it on the road. Sometimes they may play that game and it gets to where they are going to, which is marriage. Okay. I think that's it. Yes.
Miss Asanji Yvette, I'm really glad to have you take part from the studio live.
My pleasure.
In Douala. What are the implications that a guy divorced a wife, or the wife divorced a husband? I don't know who files for that. And going behind, what are the implications of such a relationship?
Okay, Mr. Leo, first we might want to look at the reasons why these people got married. Okay. Because when people get married just because they are sexually compatible, then now in marriage, they start seeing that this person's character is not suitable enough for them, to last. They are sexually compatible, but when it comes to husband activities, or let's say the way the husband treats the wife, the time, the attention, all of that is lacking. Then on the wife's part, maybe submission is also lacking. Now you begin to see that the only thing that is tying them together is the sex, but character-wise, it is not going. Now when it's not going, they start thinking of divorce. At the end of the day, somebody you share different values with, it's almost difficult to stay with that kind of a person. Once your values are different, you realize that you begin to disagree almost on everything. That means almost every day you have quarrels upon quarrels. Everything ends up in a quarrel. It's because A wants to go left, B wants to go right. But when it comes to bed, people are good. So now, the sex is just one of the areas in marriage. Sex is just one of them. The other areas, let's say there are 10 things, right? And then sex is just one of it. Now, out of the 10 things, nine is the other 9 is lacking, and then only that one is there. So this can now push couples to start thinking of maybe getting a divorce. When they have gotten that divorce, if they happen to move on and they don't find somebody who is suitable, who can play the game the same way the other spouse was playing, it becomes a problem. And then you now start thinking of, this is the only person that can satisfy me. Like we had a testimony, like Apostle Ambe said, we had a testimony last week. That woman, she left the husband because the husband was violent. The husband was abusing her physically. But later on, she couldn't miss the violent sex. I want to put it that way because it's like the man is violent all around. Yes, he's violent all around. So now, the way he handles that woman on bed, maybe the woman likes to be rough handled. So the way he handles that woman on bed, maybe the other men that have come around, they are so gentle. And so she's not finding it interesting. And when that man comes now, when she thinks of it, she can't just resist it. And then when children are involved too, that kind of relationship where children are involved, you might even visit with no intentions, and then you go, and then there's a very cold weather. Let's say it's raining. Before you know it, people are sitting and talking about the children and even looking at past pictures. Anything can happen. So these are some of the reasons. I think the wrong reasons for marriage, when they are marrying just simply because they have sex at the forefront. Now, when they get married, their character traits are different, their values are different. They're not separate, but later on, they still want to hold on to each other in having sex.
Yes, but in this situation, what are the implications? Are there some disadvantages? Are there some merits that people who are divorced and are coming back, especially in the case of children? Are there some disadvantages or, yes, some risk in engaging in such relationships?
Mr. Leo, for me, I see this issue of sex, post-divorce sex, as a very risky exercise. Yes. Okay. Oh, if people divorce and they still think that their sexuality was so good, they should remarry. It's better they remarry rather than coming from time to time and having this occasional sex. This is one of the key downsides of this particular exercise. You are divorced. The woman is living in her own side. The man is living. They only meet occasionally, right? They don't meet. They don't have any active cohabitation any longer. Nothing stops the man from maintaining other sexual partners. So if I am living, call it in Bonaberry, with a woman, with a divorced wife, God forbid, I will not divorce my wife, living in Bonamusadi, and maybe we meet twice a week. What about the other 5 days of the week? Maybe there's another man she sees within the 5 days of the week. So I want to say in superlative terms that the proliferation of sexually transmitted infections can also be caused by some of these things. The man will be there, maybe when he is not with the wife, he has not come over to meet the wife, he has another sexual partner. The woman also is there seeing another man. The next thing will be, maybe she has gone out and has sex with another person. So the thing becomes more rumbled up. I want us to really discourage and decry the fact that people have divorced and they still have sexual relationships. The best thing you can do is, if you miss one another, remarry and move on. Secondly, one of the things that make us at times we make this thing to be a debate, which in my opinion, after divorce is not even supposed to be a debate, is that we look at sex to be too much of this pleasure. In the spirit realm, sex has a mission.
Okay.
In the realm of the spirit, there is a mission for sexual intercourse. And some of these missions are accomplished, especially when there is carelessness, when there is no diligence in the way it is handled. Sex is sanctioned within the framework of marriage. That is God's protocol for sexuality. When two people are married, they are permitted to have sex. So if you are divorced, sexuality is not supposed to be part of your encounters. That's what many people don't want to hear. They don't want to get this, because they say maybe there was compatibility. There have been compatibility as much as possible. What about, let's say, a lady that you dated before getting married and you were very sexually compatible? Will you be leaving your wife home and go and be having sex with her because you were compatible? No. What if you maybe before getting married you were sexually compatible with about 5 different women? Will you be rushing back to them because you were sexually compatible? You look like a dog. So with that kind of thing, you need to build your discipline and set of values like a man, like a woman.
Yeah. So you think that sexually transmissible diseases easily spread because persons who are divorced, they sleep with other persons, and then now because they come back,
that's one of the platforms.
How many persons do that? The people who are married, are they not also cheating around?
Somebody who is married, in an active marriage, will have less latitude to go and sleep with another man than somebody who is divorced. At least she's nobody's wife.
So, you think so?
When you are divorced, whose wife are you? After divorce, are you somebody's wife?
I think there are persons who are married and who are more flirtatious than persons who are single and responsible, who would not do that. In fact, how many married men today? How many faithful married men today exist? People who are married.
Well, here we are. I'm one of them. This is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Society, let's say if they were to attribute reproach to somebody who is in an active marriage and has cheated on the wife, and somebody who is divorced, and maybe they can attribute maybe 80% to the married man and 30% to the divorced person, because he is in no active marriage. I mean, from societal norms. So me, I think that when people are divorced, if they miss their partner, let them remarry. If they think sex is what was keeping them together or was the umbrella factor, let them remarry.
They should remarry. That is what you think. Yes. In such cases, are there some dangers in such situations? If somebody says, "I'm going back to my former husband," are you exposing yourselves to some risk?
Of course.
Okay.
When people divorce, first and foremost, trust is breached. For the time that they have separated, you can't trust each other. You may have the affection to have sex, but you can't trust the integrity of each other. Because by the time you guys separate, you don't know what is happening in your absence. The woman could be doing something somewhere else. Because to me, this sex of a thing is somehow an emotional satisfaction. You can fly miles to come and have sex. That doesn't mean love. A man can drive 20 kilometers to come and have sex. A man can climb on a fence at night, jump into a compound, cross docks to go and have sex. It's adrenaline that is driving him. That doesn't mean love. Now, these persons cannot even love each other, but they can love to sex with each other. Because sex is not a sign that you are in love. Because if sex was love, they would have married a person who has had sex with before getting married to others. Most men that got married to women had women first before meeting their wives. And so if sex was a parameter for love, then the sexual intercourse they had would have qualified them. But first, to make you understand that sex is not love, you will see a man having sex with a woman, and then he will tell that, I can't marry this kind of woman, because there is something more to marriage than just having sex. Now he is eyeing another woman as a wife material, a married material, yet having sex with this one freely, because the person seems to satisfy his sexual desire. And there are other persons also who have married women who are married materials, but they are not sex partners. They will definitely leave their wives in the house and then jump out to go to another woman. You will discover that say, I cannot let her go. I love her so much. Why? She has that integrity. She has that motherly attitude. She has that attribute of a virtuous woman, because amongst the characteristics of a virtuous woman, sex is not one. Check Proverbs 31. Among the characteristics of a virtuous woman, sex is not one. And if you
decide to go apart because they are not satisfied sexually.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, but you just said sex is not part. Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you that sex, I repeat,
it's not. You say it's not.
It's not a parameter for marriage. Why do I say so? People have had sex with persons, but they tell that they cannot marry this kind of person.
Yeah, but how many persons are truly very comfortable with their wives who cannot satisfy them sexually and will not go out? How many persons say, okay, my wife cooks well, my wife does this well, but in bed she's not good, but yet they decide to stay on and will not cheat around?
There are persons that will take time to train. There are women you can train into sex, and they will understand you, and they will mature into it. And there are persons, no matter what you do to try to train them into the thing, they will tell you this thing is not their thing. They are not into the thing. I'm talking about very rare cases.
Okay.
Like, it's fortunate. We should say you should be fortunate to have a woman that is a married material and also a good sex partner.
Okay.
You should be fortunate, because in the generation we live in, you will find a very good, decent woman who is very poor in bed. And you see another woman who is very good in bed, but very poor in character. She doesn't suffice as a wife. Now, to have a one that is good in bed and also complete as a wife, my brother, you must be lucky. And this is the reason for extramarital affairs. And this is the reason why there's high rate of adultery outside, because some men will have a woman that can defend their integrity, give them the public image they want. But when they go inside the bedroom, the woman is zero. Despite all his effort to convince and drag the woman to a place of being an expert in bed, the woman is not good at it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure Reverend Kenneth is very comfortable with you.
No, he's not supposed to be comfortable. We are talking reality.
The Holy Spirit.
Mr. Leo, you are making a mistake. I'm not here to talk to comfort somebody. I'm talking realities in the society. Yes. Reverend Ken, I'm not here to satisfy you. I'm here to satisfy those who are listening.
Mr. Leo just wants to.
So here the problem is. The reason for all these side chicks and the rest is not because the men have bad wives.
Okay.
Sometimes they have very decent wives because the wives are not longer stinking them where they are supposed to be stung. That's what the challenge is. That we minimize this issue of sex. It's very delicate. Very, very delicate.
Okay.
A man can
you
pay.
said that sex is not one of the parameters for marriage, and then you say we minimize it.
I'm not saying we are minimizing it. You are mixing up the whole thing. Okay. I'm saying that people have gotten married to individuals not because they had sex with them. They observe their attitudes. I've spoken about the virtual man, Prophet 31. All her characteristics are what a man needs in a woman, but not to sex is not among. Which, if you find such a woman, you may definitely think, okay, let me marry her as she is. I will train her in bed. And not only for you to go and train her in bed, she's not taking the lessons. That's a deficiency. Then you see another woman who is good in bed, but you go now to the characteristics of your wife, she does not have it. And this is the real Marital affairs. We are saying this is they are very real. All these fathers who are 60 years, they go and pack a UV junction for these young girls. It's not because their wives are bad. Some of those mama, they have seen everything in life, they will behave very well. But that young girl knows how to suck that man's breast. Where mommy just like to sleep her down like missionary. Papa will do it and go away. But this girl will turn that power upside down. The power will not see a wife in a woman. They will see as a sex partner. The truth is, you should be able to know whether you are a wife material, a sex partner, a destiny helper, or a mogul.
Okay.
Yes. There is just something, because we have a very huge temptation here.
Okay.
There is a trick that is hovering above us in this discussion. And this trick is this. Many people will hear this and will use it as a license not to work on the sexuality of their couple. As a couple, there are usually factors which account for sexual dissatisfaction. One, maybe medical. Two, it might be just ignorance. Three, it might be
the hygiene of partners.
Hygiene and just a cross-section of factors. When these things are actually prevailing within a marriage, work on it. If it is medical, two of you, go for medical attention. Don't use it as a license, as an alibi to say, because my wife is not good or my husband is not good, I should accommodate an extramarital affair. Few are the cases where somebody will not know it, be trained, and the person will not be able to pick up. Few are the cases where the person, we may be talking about maybe sterility issues, not the issue of sexuality, that you have reached the age of puberty, where the hormones that are responsible for sexual drive are burning in you, and over time the training. We've had to talk with many people who, after a very long time, they ended up picking up. We had a lady whose testimony was that the very day they got married, the husband cheated on her. The very day they got married. So she
talking about the very day they got married. Some the night before the married night. It happened.
That is it. So this lady said she had to cry and ask herself whether she should quit this marriage, and then said, okay, she will ask the man, okay, what have I done or what have I not done? How can I go about it? So yes. So at the end of the day, today they are happily married. The man came to his senses and things are moving. So me, I think when all of these things are being said, that there are some people who may not, some couples that may not have that kind of sexual compatibility, don't take it as a license, please. Let no man take it as a license to run after other women or a woman take it as a license to accommodate.
Why do we behave as if most of these couples were not first having sex before they got married?
They dropped from heaven the day of their wedding.
You understand? They were having sex before they entered.
Maybe they were born again.
And then they discovered that it is better to have sex when you are outside.
No, they were, maybe some of them were believers.
In the church?
Yes.
No, but in the church has done harm to a lot of people when it comes to that. Because they don't teach the thing. Just this thing now, so many of them will be learning this thing on air. The church does not teach people detail. They may just say that when you marry, you take care for your master, fine. Take care for your master, fine. That's just what they will tell you. So that's exactly what I think. So what I'm looking at now is how can we help people who are suffering from this particular challenge? Because in the 21st century, one of the reasons you should get married is for a lady to satisfy your husband, and the man to satisfy your wife. You should always put that at the back of your mind. So if you're that kind of a person that does not believe in maybe eating bitter cola, taking some maybe banana and all that kind of thing there, you have to start learning how to do it. You have to start learning how to take it so that you can stay for long. 2 minutes is really hurting to some of these women because women stay long before they can come. When you start going for 2 minutes and then they are telling you are instead insulting the woman that she's behaving like an Ashawo woman, why is she complaining and those kind of things? It's very wrong. So we are pleading that people should learn, especially even at the level of the church, they should learn how to satisfy their partners so that people will be satisfied to the extent where they will be tired to even go out to another woman.
Apostle, let me not cut you. The error we're making is that not everybody in church came from church.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
They are poor experience this thing the well.
No, the thing is that some of them experience it in the well, but they come and marry ignorant brothers
in the church
and sisters in the church.
But Apostle Alfred, I want to believe that just like communication, people learn how to communicate, right?
Yes.
Communication skills, people can learn how to communicate. It's the same way you can learn how you can learn sexual skills.
How many people do learn?
No, now the thing is that a lot of people believe that sex is about the sizes, how the size one size should be bigger than the other. But I want to say this: it is not the sizes that matters. It is the tactics that you use, because you can have.
look, not for somebody that have been using cucumber. Yes, not for somebody that have been using cucumber. They are already used to size.
No, I know that cucumber has now we don't have cucumber just like a fruit. People have been using it for other uses. But what I want to say is that people eventually think that when we talk about sex, we're talking about the sizes.
Yeah.
And they believe that normally the man should be bigger than the woman. Now, in a case where maybe a woman has put to bed through vaginal delivery many times, sometimes she cannot contract back to the same state that she was before she put to bed.
Yes.
So in that state now, what do you think? The man can still satisfy her and she can still satisfy the man. So
would you advise a man that has a small penis that he should continue with that?
There is a tactic that can be used in that, and then they will still reach the lady will still reach orgasm.
Okay.
No, yes, I'm serious. The lady will still reach orgasm, even if he's small and the lady is big. They can have different positions that they can use, and they will still reach both orgasm and ejaculation.
No, see, let me tell you something.
No, she's on. Yeah, but where are we failing? Because many women are hardly satisfied, the men are also hardly satisfied. Is it the impatience to teach? Because men are quickly moved to looking for some other things, and maybe the women also are moved to getting outside to get satisfaction. Is it ignorance or impatience for us to teach ourselves to know that no, despite our weaknesses, we could still work on this?
Mr. Leo, naturally, men, men don't only crave for sex; they need sex, right? So that's why they are always sexually active. Now, let's say in 100 couples I have cancelled, I can say just about 5 ladies come out to be more sexually active than the men. Women normally they always say that it's not my thing. It's not my thing. That's how women naturally are. A woman will only feel like having sex when she's almost at the stage of ovulation, because at that stage there's this hormone, the estrogen, is released in her body, and then she feels light, she feels warm. That's the period where she can feel like. So if you ask a lady, she can feel like 3 times in a month or 2 times. But I had a couple and I asked the man, how often will you want to have sex? That was during marital counseling, and the man said 2 times a day. That means it's on a daily basis and it's 2 times. When he goes to work and come back from work, he needs to have it to remove part of the stress. Then in the morning, he also releases before he's going out, so that the wife will be on his mind all through the day. So now with these differences, men want it more, women don't want it more. What do? The men now need to be patient with their women. Going out is never a solution. Be patient with your wife. Teach her. And then most of the women too, they must be interested in learning and updating. And I always say this, while the one down is struggling to upgrade, you that you're up, also make an effort to step down so that both of you can converge. You can meet somewhere in the middle. It's not like it is a one-way thing that one person should work on it and then the other person is not working on it. So if the both parties put in effort and say, okay, since I like it more and you don't like it more, while I'm struggling to step down a little bit, you are struggling to, get it up a little bit so that we meet somewhere in the middle. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. The topic is very controversial. It is hard to believe that divorced couples are having sex with each other What actually caused the divorce and what is attracting them to each other now? Nkwan Jacob is writing from Kumbu. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thank you for bringing back this topic today. Tuesdays are my best days. I wish to ask, if couples divorce and later start having affections for each other, can they remarry? Ntev Sylvain writing from Yaoundé. Hello, Mr. Leonard. People should understand that love making is not necessary. Love, you can ask prostitutes or their patronizers. A lot of divorce come as a result of disrespect from one of the spouses, and not necessarily lack of sex. All of us must have seen couples in toxic relationships who keep making kids together. This is because sex is between the two body organs, penis and vagina, and not necessarily between two hearts. Couples who don't even talk to each other still end up having sex at night and continue hating each other in the morning. However, that is why the law makes provision for a transitional period before divorce, known as judicial separation, where the petitioner and the respondent are given more time to go and sit and reconsider. Yes, is that where the trick is not taken into consideration, where people think people hardly follow this moment of judicial separation? That is what the law actually asks for, that if things are not moving, we should stay apart for some time, but we are quick to go for divorce.
Yes, judicial separation is part of the law, and I've cited that once on this platform, that you can go for depending on the number of years you guys choose. 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 3 years, separate from each other and think, have a rethink if at all you can still settle again. But sometimes the abuse before that judicial separation is so harsh in such a way that people never want that judicial separation. The one instant separation as divorce. In a case where a woman is constantly battered, a man exercises his fist on a woman, molest that woman, and then you don't expect the woman to be thinking of judicial separation because she can't be seeing death and be thinking of even staying with you anymore. There is a level of bitterness that comes up within a particular time. It can only diffuse after a given period of time. And now when that bitterness is stretched at a given time, divorce is inevitable. But when the bitterness sometimes diffuses after divorce has taken place, then both of them start seeing the need to come back again. So a man can be bitter for 1 year, a woman can be bitter for 6 months. Within those 6 months, they hurriedly divorce. Then after 6 months, the bitterness diffuses into the air. Before you realize that after 1 year, the anger is gone, or that feeling is gone, you start thinking about, why did I separate? I think we should come back. That's some of the reasons. And then why people sometimes also divorce so quickly is because when they have done everything humanly possible over some years. For instance, a woman is calling your attention to something for over some years, calling, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and she sees no future changes. She is definitely going to conclude that this man will never change. There's no need spending my life with her. I met a woman who was with a man, and she was the one sponsoring the children in school, and the man kept telling the woman that, oh, we have a contract in Yaoundé. This contract will soon come. This contract will soon come. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, no contract, 7 years. The woman said, anytime the contract comes, eat the money alone. We are leaving this relationship. They separated, and they divorced. You realize that her patience was stretched to a level where she could no longer contain it. So when people decide to divorce, it's not something that is instantaneous. The last straw could be the immediate cause of the divorce, but it has taken years for them to come to a conclusion that this man will never change for eternity. Yeah. So divorce is not something that is spontaneous. A woman can call your attention, or a man can call your attention for 10 years. 10 consecutive years. Dreaming that one day you will change. And after 10 years, if a man cannot change, they conclude. People divorce after 25 years. Then they conclude that no, it's impossible for the man to ever change because for 10 years I've been calling the attention, it's not changing, then there is no need. When they come to a place where their patience expires, they are not divorcing because of what happened that day. They are divorcing because they have been patient for many years to see if changes will come, and the changes did not come. Now, when they sometimes divorce like that and they separate their ways, they fall in the hands of different personalities. That's the time they will begin to compare and contrast. One other thing with the church is that you don't have access to a woman before you get married to her. So you don't know if both of you are sexually compatible. For instance, you leave the world, you've had a relationship with a very smart girl in bed, then you're born again, come into church, you are forbidden from accessing a woman, then you get married to her, only to find her that she is not active in bed as a former partner. We get born again, we change our status from being unbeliever to believer, our memories don't die. Memories are still there, very fresh. When you spend time with this new lady now, you are trying to drive her to a place where she will think you to get that same satisfaction you used to get in the world. She cannot drag you anywhere. You tried patient 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, it's not going. You realize that you even desire for the thing, because sex is something that people have to activate each other to get into it. There is a woman that you can look at, you think of memories when you are behind the bed. Your desire for sex rises. And then when you look at her, and then everything about you just die, because there is a particular way they reflect and they manifest in bed. So because of that, you see people start thinking now of going out, going out, going out. Another thing we have said here has to do with bloodline. The patterns of the bloodline. There are individuals who have stumbled to get married to some ladies who are not the particular type of women that their family bloodline loves. Probably in the name of prayer, the woman prays very well, and you follow that spirituality and got married to her. Meanwhile, the people in your family want sizable Botox women. And once you get married now, because of that prayer burning sister, and she enters your house, tomorrow your eye begin to look for what your bloodline is in need of. You see men start going outside. That's the reason we always encourage people. When you get born again, you and your partner have to sit down to discuss on some frank truths. Yeah. There are things that pastors will never preach in church. There is no seminar about sexual intercourse in church. Yeah. Because they feel it as a taboo, as like a bad word. Sex is bad when it goes out of the confines of marriage. Sex itself is not a bad subject. So if I thought people need to get married, they have to organize a particular session to discuss about sex. There are women who don't know what's orgasm. They only hear it from us here on television. There are men who know that when it comes to sexual intercourse, it is the man that has to be satisfied. Climb on the woman, discharge, and go away. Then you meet a woman who has been habitually having orgasm before meeting you. Then you come with your stereotype mentality, as if she's a dog. You just come and download, and then you take off. My friend, you are going to face casualties in that home, because you are meeting your demand in sex while the woman's desire is not met. As much as we are preaching this thing on television and talking over and over, it has destroyed more homes in silence. Because a man will be ashamed to say, hey, my wife does not satisfy me. That's why I left her. How do you explain to the public that it is sex that caused you to divorce your wife? It's shameful. How does a woman explain that the man could not satisfy her? They will see her as a prostitute. That's the mentality we have. When a woman demands for sex, it's considered a prostitute. And also, it becomes very confusing when women sometimes even ask for sex. There are some men that will look at you as a prostitute because you ask for sex, not knowing that sex demand is reciprocal. As much as the man demands, the woman too has to demand. Because when a woman demands, also you feel important. You also feel like somebody who is meeting the target. One of the things that discourages men is that when they cannot meet the target of a woman, they feel less of a man. You don't even know this thing. It's very psychological. Yes. It's psychological. When a woman says you a man,
sometimes they don't even say it. They just turn their face.
They just turn, yes, the way they behave. It just tells you that you are not a man. And when you see a woman say, no, you are a man, that ego comes up. When you hit her, she says, no. When you touch me, I'm...
Okay,
let me land, please. I'm landing now. Land. So all those things are different elements that come when it comes to the issue of sex, and we neglect them. Please, let us take time in our churches, especially church sisters and brothers. The level of sanctity and holiness in this area has caused more divorces than something else.
Okay, you want to add to what he's saying?
No, he wants to reduce. He wants to reduce. He wants to, he reduces my point with technicality.
Yes, but my question to you is, how do we handle such cases that you are divorced, either the man sued for divorce or the woman, and you are separated, and you think that you still love this lady? How do you go about it?
Sometimes I would advise you don't just rush and get back into it.
Okay.
Since you took time to scatter it, it's good to take time to go back into it. Sometimes take your time, build and see if things have changed for good. Because if you rush and enter into it, you will find yourself still rushing to go out of it. So take your time. Watch to see if behaviors, patterns, and some styles have changed. Those things that made you people not to go along together, whether it has changed. And one of the ways to approach it is not sex. You shouldn't approach it with sex. Come around and try to bring discussion. Bring, discussion without going to some kind of erotic things. You can discuss useful discussions. You can discuss, programs and plans for your life. You can even discuss about business. You can discuss about education. You can discuss about people going to be schooled in an area where they were weak. Then, if you see that people are making efforts towards that change, you keep on putting efforts towards it. And when you put efforts towards it, and you see that truly it was a mistake, or it's an error, or maybe they were ignorant and they did not know, then you start carrying it back to the area of relationship and marriage, where you can now introduce her again to your family and begin to chat her again afresh. Begin to do all the plaques and all the things, talking nicely and softly, and going for some outings that does not carry sex. If you really want to enter back into that relationship, I'm begging you, don't enter through sex. If you enter through sex, you will find yourself again having the same problems. Enter through reason. Enter through dialogue. Enter through discussion. Reasonable discussion. Remove your mind from that sex, no matter how much it was serious or you loved it. You must deal with it. If not, you will find yourself in trouble. Now, do you know that there are some people that if they want to marry you, they choose not to have sex with you because they want to see the real nature you have or your character. When they don't have sex with you, they will be having sex somewhere else. Then they come to you, they behave as if nothing is happening. So girls are good in that. Girls usually play that game. They say, no, in our church we don't sleep with a man before. And then when that game has been played, then when you are married, they come back with their true colors. So please, never use sex as an approach to go back to your former relationship. Never do that. If you must marry that person again, remove sex out of it first and follow reason. Use your sense, because sex and sense, it gets as the mix. Because sometimes when they get sex, the thing we put it talk during that time, don't that thing with the mean. They mean some other things. And they mean other things. So don't be fast in taking things that people promise you during sex, because they don't surely mean what they are saying. So that is exactly why I tell you not to go back and approach marriage with sex. If you must remarry that same person that you rejected, you must take it through reason.
Yeah, but you are talking about sex. I said that you divorce somebody, yes, and discover that you still love the person.
Mm-hmm. I am telling you the approach that you can come back.
Yes.
That's what I've been explaining.
Yeah, but you are insisting on sex. I mean,
no, I said love, don't take sex in front of it. Mm-hmm. Don't go back. If you must go back to the person, don't approach it towards sex, through sex. Mm-hmm. You should approach it towards other things. Okay. It may be business partner. It may be, visiting sometimes and just, go out strolling. Maybe take a bottle of drink or whatever. Those kind of things. Okay. Through that, you will find yourself building that relationship again. Through that, you will find yourself building that thing again. That time, it will not be sex turning the minds of people. It will be that you both have risen together and now you want to start up something.
Now, if somebody says, I divorced my wife 5 years ago, and you've seen that things are not really moving with your life, and that the person that can actually meet you or assist you accomplish your life on earth, what should you do? You move back to the family, convince them. How do you get the lady back into your life, especially if the lady is still available? And what of the case of the man who is still available? You think that this is the man that was meant for you, but you people got divorced for one or two reasons.
Now, I want to think that if people got divorced, there were reasons why they saw that maybe they want to go their separate ways. Mm-hmm. So if at one moment they start thinking again of maybe coming back together, they should first of all check if that reasons why they separated has been fixed. If, okay, now let's say a man who neglects a woman's attention needs, you spend most of your time maybe drinking with friends, and then you don't give her the time that she needs. naturally women will demand for attention. They will demand for your time. So if you maybe neglect her needs, or maybe on the other hand she neglects your own needs, maybe let's say submission is not there, and then she's doing nothing as far as finances is concerned, maybe to add to the family income. Now, if whatever was the case before the divorce took place, they must take time to look into the root cause of the divorce, handle them each one by one. If the man had bad character, maybe beating you up, if he was abusing you physically, you might want to think or talk about it first, and let the man understand how getting you beaten up feels like. And then maybe he might want to promise that he's not going to do that. Because if you want to marry somebody and the reasons why both of you divorce has not been tackled, there is the probability that even after remarrying you will still divorce for the second time.
Yeah, but you are talking in the case of being rational here. You are thinking, but love, when it comes up at times, they say it's blind. It is you cannot explain it. It is so strong. How do you
that's why we say love is not enough when it comes to marriage.
Okay, this is another topic here.
Yes, love is not enough. You must have things that makes you like, let me say, apart from the love, if you were to keep that love aside, what are the other things that if love was not there, you would still marry this person? You want to look how that person maybe helps you accomplish other things. You want to see how both of you have the same vision, because that's one of the key things that marriage holds. If you can have the same vision with your spouse, both of you are going the same direction. If two people are going different direction, no matter the love they have, they cannot stay together. The Bible says the two cannot work together unless they agree. So if the husband wants to go to Ewane and B wants to go to Douala, they will be dragging each other. So there must be a common grounds where they have an agreement. When the love is not even there, that's why we even encourage, or we discourage, we discourage too much love during courtship, because it will not help you to reason out certain things and check if these things are.
But how do you even engage somebody that you do not love? And if love is not one of the core considerations for marriage, is that not also a reason why we have so many persons cheating? Because okay, you want to see this person who has a good job, he's good looking, he's focused and the like, but I don't actually love him. You go into it to meet these other expectations, and your heart is panting for another person. You are there for this reason, and you find yourself going to have intercourse with some other person your heart dies for.
No, we are not completely discouraging love in during the process of courtship. We are discouraging a certain level of love. You should love somebody with that means at the level where you can still reason. Your reasoning is still intact.
Okay.
Because if you allow the feelings to override the reasoning, you will be taking certain decisions based on feelings. And marriage is not like that. Marriage comes with responsibilities that you need to reason in to handle them. So when we talk about love, we are not saying that you shouldn't marry somebody you don't love. Like at first, I think our parents was just like, do you love him? Do you love her? Okay, people are good to go. But now we're in the 21st century. Things are no longer the same. We will not just ask about, do you love him? Do you love her? We want to check how compatible you people are, apart from the love. So love somebody during courtship, but let the love not override your reasoning. When you are married, that's when you can overflow the love. Let the love overflow at that moment. But before courtship, love somebody at the level where your reasoning is not tampered with. You can still reason. If you see red flags that this marriage is not going to work, you can better walk out of it. If your reasoning is still in place, than just pushing on because you have feelings or you love that person.
Where does it begin? Is it at the start of the engagement process, where people do not do good profiling, actually taste one another's temper, and sexually also taste one another, that you find yourself getting into a marriage and then divorcing, and because you are not prepared? You easily divorce, and also because you are not prepared to handle certain things, you go into the world and come back.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, I think most of these things we've shared a couple of times, that some relationships end up hitting the rocks not because the two people could not make good couples. At times, procedural issues are the cause for which they will not make it. And it goes back to Apostle said I was going to come to subtract. I'm coming to complement, not subtracting. This is what I want to say. it's not good that we overload the church with some responsibility that is supposed to, well, when I say overload, how do I put it? Some pastors, let me not say the church. Because what pastors are supposed to do is that they are supposed to make sure in the building of teams in the church, in the building of human resources in the church, in the building of people who can be resource persons in the church, they should build people, or they should make sure that people acquire the hands-on skills that help in relationships. We should not make like that, and a pastor who is not gifted in relationship issues go and is killing himself over things, because you're a pastor does not mean that
true. Yes, it's true.
That you're a pastor does not mean that you are gifted in relationship issues, or that you have the skills.
Yes.
So you must make sure that for your church to be balanced to a certain extent, get people who will be trained in this, maybe out of your training programs, because if you have a different grace, let me call it that way, and you want to force yourself into, you start creating some kind of things within the church that will not help. Like me, there is something I don't like in church, is this issue of marriage committee. I don't like that thing. Marriage committee. So if you have within the church setting a training program that there are people who, when somebody wants to get married, you can assign the couple, or for somebody to work with the couple. It will be different from the fact that the people just wanted to get married, and then the pastor, because that's what some pastors do. They say, begin to pray. All they tell them every day is that pray. And for maybe 1 year that they put together, all he has to tell them is that they should pray. And this is one of the reasons why people get married and are not equipped for the relationship to a certain extent. It's true, it is a pedagogic experience every day of your life. Now, I don't know whether there is any of us here who will work with a couple in premarital counseling from scratch, and then you get to the point where you allow the man to walk the woman down the aisle without talking to them about sexuality.
No way.
So there is none. Which comes with the fact that there are some people also who have these challenges in their marriages because they initiated their marital process and they were the alpha and they were the omega in it all. They won't follow therapy as we encourage all the time. Madam Asanji says she is a professional counselor. Look for resources, invest in it, rather than looking for resources only to invest in your wedding ceremony. A wedding ceremony is an event that finishes in a day, and then you have the marriage to live for a lifetime. You won't want to keep investing but in the groomsmen and the flower girls and the decor and the suit and the wedding gown and the what have you. So you won't want to invest in that in a marriage that is not going to last. You should invest and put these resources. So as Mr. said, there are things that people should not ignore when it comes to premarital issues. Make sure that some things give it its time. I was counseling with a couple yesterday, and premarital counseling to say, and I was telling them that I'm not very comfortable with relationships that they began and then finally got married without having a heated disagreement to test.
That's true.
The substance of that relationship. I would like that when you have a premarital relationship, should be heated. Let there be a disagreement that, in fact, let one of them feel as backing out, and then they fix things, resume, and move ahead. Let them be very sure, because there's someone that counseling with some, they'll tell them, no, I believe there is a marriage, there can be a marriage without conflict. I said, no, that is a daydream. It's a daydream. So enter in it with the mindset that there will be conflicts, but now you have to develop hands-on skills that are going to help you in managing these conflicts so that your marriage does not tear apart. That is it. If not, you will see people will keep entering into marriage with that daydream, and then when they enter there and see the realities, they will start saying that they want to divorce, and then when they divorce, after some time, you see, they will be dancing by your dance. They go ahead, come back. We had, I think when I read through the comments last week, I saw someone who said a friend of hers divorced the man, remarried the man, divorced him, remarried him again about 2 or 3 times or something. If you look at the comments last week, you see something like that. So what kind of thing is that? It means this thing of talking about the love giving some people's mental disorder.
Let me take some messages, Apostle. I would like you to react to some of them. There are so many. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is the best panel. Please, my regards to Mr. Asanji. I'm learning a lot in this program. More grace to the panel. And Jema is writing from the Buncha. Good evening, sir. I just got married and I don't feel anything when I am having sex with my husband, even when I kiss him. Can we just react to that? Just take note, please. Good evening, sir. I'm called Fabian. Love is not a guarantee for a successful marriage. It is just a subsidy to marriage. First hard times take away love because you can't get married to someone who can't afford your needs. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Your program inspires me a lot, but I wish my husband can listen to this because he doesn't not like kissing or get into serious romance before sex, of which these are the things I like and makes me aroused. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I just got married and I don't feel anything when I'm having sex with my husband. Hi, good evening. I'm Helen from Kumba and I have a case where a married man is cheating on the wife with a married woman. So please help. Good evening, Mr. Leo and your esteemed panelists. What an interesting topic you are handling. Many Christians, men and women, are suffering and managing their marriages because of vows taken. Sexually, there is a lot of ignorance. This is partly because the church is not doing enough and the taboo that tradition has stamped on this very important aspect of marriage. Women suffer a lot. Men should step up their game plan. Samuel is writing from Diboncha. So many persons are in marriage. They are not happy when you go through this. This woman says, okay, I'm married for 3 months. I don't feel anything for my husband. The other woman says, okay, my husband, actually, I would love that there is some romance before, which means that she's also not happy. This one says Christian couples are not also happy. You see, from the messages, there are so many of them. That aspects, they are not happy. They are in marriage, but they are not happy because that aspect is lacking.
I'm finding it difficult to discuss. I'm psychologically traumatized here. I've been having some series of attacks from some very close persons, but let me just answer the question.
Attacks?
Yes, confrontations. Yes.
During this program?
Yes. So let me just answer the question. For the lady who said she's not enjoying anything sexually in her marriage, nobody is born romantic.
Okay.
People grow romance. In most situations, there are individuals who are romantic and they get married to unromantic persons. And you cannot insult somebody for being unromantic because nobody was born romantic. It's environment and circumstances and individuals you meet that teach you how to be romantic. So if you meet somebody who is romantic and you are not romantic, try to educate the person. That's the first thing. A lot of people conclude or they jump into insults, abusing people are being primitive, uncivilized, unattractive, unromantic, without even trying or making any effort to educate the people to come to a place of being romantic, because nobody is born romantic. Secondly, people being romantic has to do with the individual question. There are persons that if you touch them on certain positions, it doesn't move them. You must have a mastery of your partner. No matter what we teach here today, it will end up being what you know about your partner. Women are moved by different things, depending on the individual in question. We have seen people meet individuals and they stir them up just by touching particular spots on them. But you see, not everybody is the same. I can't tell you my experience to go and use on your wife, and you cannot tell me your experience to go and use on your husband, because it takes time and constant interaction, discussion, mutual bonding for both of you to understand yourself with time. We are going to say all kinds of things, but it will end up with you, the person in question. If your husband is making love to you and you are not feeling anything, then tell him where he has to touch you, because he may be blind about it. That will make you being moved. To you as a woman whose husband does not know how to kiss or romance or do such things, please don't insult him, because when you insult people, there is a book I have written, The Winning Couple. There's the oral aspect of sex. What you say during, within, and after sex can easily heighten somebody's passion or kill it. Words play a very pivotal role. You can say some things that can even paralyze a woman's drive, and you can equally say some things that kills a man's drive. For instance, you have a man who is not good in kissing or something like romancing, and you say, why you made some bushman? So that alone paralyzes his effort. That alone, that word kills every other effort in him. You could get to him and say, no, honey, I know you are not used to this, but please, these are the things that really satisfy me. I want you to really go this way and go this way, because you, before you are going to a woman, or going to a man, you must understand your own anatomy. There is no man that will not know where, if she is touched, she will be moved. So you have to educate your mind. Your mind is sometimes not a magician. And some people only discover their own as they consistently have relationship, have intercourse with their partner. As they touch and they touch, they are discovering it, they are having a mastery of it. But some persons will tell you, I do not know. You will know what pushes you or moves you. It is better for you to drag your partner towards that direction. That is what I think. For those of you who are facing difficulties, because I don't think, except you have been given female genital mutilation, where your clitoris is being cut off by one tradition and then you feel no reflection anymore. No, nothing. There are some very barbaric traditions that take off what drives women from them. So the woman becomes like a piece of wood. She's just good at giving birth to children. But if that has not been done to you, then you have your soft spot on your system your husband has not mastered. Please, we encourage you to make sure you tell your husband, educate him that when you do this and you do that and do this, it drives me crazy. You, the man, equally tell your wife that if you do this, it moves me. There is this need for communication. Don't be ashamed to say the two of you, and you have access to your body because the Bible gives you rights. The man has no right over his body by the woman, and the woman has no right over his body by the man. So it is your right to explain to your partner where you want your partner to move you and drive you. It's not a crime. As long as sex is within the confines of marriage, we cannot hide any secret in it. We will tell you. The only thing we cannot encourage when you go sex out of marriage. These details concerning sex is for people who are married, legally married. So if you say your husband does not know how to kiss, all those things, it matters also. There are also persons also who do not have good mouth odor. It's your husband. Whether you like it or not, it's your husband, it's your wife. What do? You have to do everything possible to look for antidote to that, because there are a lot of sprays in the market and other things you can put in place that can kill the mouth odor. There are also persons who are not good in shaving, and there are persons who want individuals who have shaved. Those are the things you have to point out. Only when I see these hairs like this, they don't move me. Those are the kind of, you educate the individual in question. So I think all this, there's another aspect of, say, the hygienic aspect. The hygienic aspect is when the internal of the individual is clean, beginning from the underwears right down to the body. Those things matter a lot, because sex is something very psychological. Something can affect your mind, and every organ of your body goes down. So that's the reason why, if the mind is not tickled, the body cannot reflect. So go and find out that thing that kills you, because I can tell you, it's not everybody that reaches orgasm because a penis is inserted in the vagina. No. Somebody, just by kissing the person can reach orgasm. So understand the anatomy of your partner very well. I think I've been able to manage that information based on this.
Okay. Now, reconnecting those partners, you said, if you realize that you still love, and you discover that, okay, the persons have worked on their lapses, how do you proceed? You talk with them, you talk to their families, because at the time of divorce, it brings a lot of humiliation. It comes with insults on both parties. How do we reconcile this? So that, because they sneak into these rooms and houses in the night because of what the family, friends, and society would say. How do you reconcile this?
This thing is for, we're talking that one for cowards. Some people are not cowards. They do it openly. You see it. You will not even know that they were divorced before. They go along with their normal day. I just want to believe that when you are now an adult, you are not a coward anymore for people to be controlling you and disturbing you. Just like how we are here on this place, people will hear what we are talking and they begin to attack us. You want to attack us, you are doing yourself, you are not doing us, because we are doing what we were called to do. This is our assignment. We were trained to do this. We are marriage counselors. We are relationship coaches. Nothing can frighten me. I used to say, person we don't see 99 of the fear 100. Yes, person don't see 99 of the fear 100. So we are there, we are going. There's nothing you can do. After we say it today, we remain on net. It will be there for as long as net will keep it there. People will always refer it and hear what we have been teaching. And we have told people the right things to build their homes. A lot of homes are being built. Now, a man who wants to reunite with the wife should not be a coward. To be hiding and sneaking and going in for sex, it means that you are a thief. Come openly, and like I said, never use the route of sex in order to come back to a relationship that is good. Don't do it. Sometimes create that atmosphere with the family again. Go to their family, relate, buy some fine things, visit the sisters and these things. It is the sisters that will even be telling you people what to do. Sometimes it will be as if it is your families that are bringing you back. It's not both of you. Use those techniques and use those ways that you can behave as if it is not you, it is the families. You go and show love to the sisters, go and show love to the mothers, go and show love to the father and the friends. It is the friends that will be telling you that, boy, when I know come back, how the way when I from the way I can see, I tell so I see like when I say for, then you now say, would it still think come? Would it think come? When God permits, we'll come back. That is exactly how it is. In this society, we use jackery, we use proverb, we use different ways to be able to relate with people. That is how this thing is. In literature, we call it stylistic devices. We apply all these styles in order to be able to pass out your message to the public. If you think you must come back, please don't be a coward. Go and visit the parents of this girl. Go and visit their friends. Buy gifts. Just dash them. Don't say anything. Go away. Sometimes just go and just visit them. Discuss with them. Just be discussing. Building that particular streaks. Talking to your family in one way or the other, some kind of way. They are the ones that will be encouraging you. You not say a mistake when I make if I'm gonna go back. Those kind of things. Okay. And I think that these methods will help. But for cowards who are sneaking and going into rooms in the night, well, what do you see? I'm taking.
Okay, some persons are writing. Where Apostle Ambe, where can we get your book? Can you just put your number out there to persons watching who may want to have your book?
Yes, you can reach me on WhatsApp 693105191. 693105191. That's my WhatsApp number. You reach me, you get the book.
Okay, but you have another MTN number.
Yes, I have an MTN number which is not on WhatsApp. 670-749844. 670-749844.
Okay, I don't want to be biased here. Some persons may also want to get to you. Can you just put your number out there to those watching?
No, those who, when you get to Apostle Ambe will always get to me, and Mr. Leo will always get my number too. And sometimes I really don't want much of that counseling. I think, Madam Asanji, you are more of a counselor. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Asanji Yvette, some persons come and they tell you in hiding that I still like that man. Some men come to you, I still like that woman, and because of what the society already has about their divorce, they may be ashamed. How do you beat that? How do you overcome it? How do you see a man of God? Do you see a friends? Or how do you guys reconnect for the society to receive and accept that these two who previously were divorced have come back together?
Okay. First, I will always encourage that these people should, first of all, seek counseling. Okay. So that they'll be sure if they really want to come back together. Not just being excited again, that's okay, I just miss him, I just miss her. But if they go through therapy, they go through counseling, they fix those things that really cause them to separate. And then they are certain that they are sure that they really want to come back together. They now need to see families. Now, I want to say this. People will always talk. People will always talk. If you want to listen to what people are saying, you'll be living your life to please people. You have to do what is right and what is correct to you, not what is correct to people. As long as that is what you want, whatever the world wants to say, they will still say it. If you like, you go up, the world will say it. If you go down, the world will, people will still talk about it. So you might need to leave people out of this. Forget about whatever they have to say, and do what is necessary. Now, since divorce will involve, everybody has known about it. I think we have key persons here that you might need to go back to them. We're talking about family. And I would prefer that the lady talks to her family while the guy talks to his own family. Then maybe after that, both families can now come together and see how they can support their children to come back as one. They could equally see their pastor, if the pastor had a role that he played, maybe during the wedding. They might need to involve the pastor, then the two families. But apart from that, whatever the society has to say, that is their cup of tea. If you want to really consider or think a lot about what people say, you will not focus on what you want or what is right for you to do. So focus on that. And then, Mr. Leo, please, I want to quickly clarify something. When we talking about sex and in church and that people get married without having sex, we are not saying that. We are not encouraging that Christian couples or Christians to have sex before marriage.
That's what they are talking here.
No, that's why I want to clarify it. You can talk about sex without having sex.
Okay.
Yes, during counseling, during premarital counseling, we talk about sex. That's why, like I said, during the premarital counseling, I asked that man, how often will you want to have sex? I said, how often will you want to have sex? He said, now we discuss those sex things. We talk about them. So if you can talk about sex and let the person know already that this is how often you must discuss it. Not that you should go and have it, because people might think that we are saying that they should go and have sex.
No, discuss.
No, we are not promoting.
No, we are promoting
sex. No, we are promoting sex in marriage.
That's what we are promoting. Yeah,
we are promoting sex in marriage, but not sex before marriage. Not sex before marriage. We are saying that people should not stay away from talking about sex because they are Christians. So during counseling, all of those things need to be handled.
It has to be handled.
You have to talk about it.
Surprise inside.
Yes, you have to talk about it.
Somebody that have been using big things, let them tell you, so that you will get used to it.
Yes, so that's what I'm trying to say. I just want to clear that atmosphere. Let people not misunderstand us. We are promoting sex in marriage, but we are not promoting. We're only saying that people should have sex, or they should go and test themselves to know if they are sexually compatible. No,
if
they can talk about it, and they can talk about it and then know that they are compatible or not just by talking. So we don't encourage sex. Please don't get us wrong. We don't encourage sex before marriage. Okay. Then coming back to Mr. Leo, please let me just say this. Coming back to the lady that said she doesn't enjoy the love making. Now, people don't understand, or a lot of men don't understand that how the bedroom will look like will depend on how you treated her during the day. How you start treating your wife during the day has a lot of role to play in the bedroom. So sex is not just about the bedroom that you just come in and you want to go, have it. It starts with how you treat her. If you want a good sex at night, start treating your wife good during the day. Keep her in a good mood as she's thinking about you and smiling. That's how she's already getting prepared for that sex. It's not like you just have to come when maybe you maltreated her during the day, you insulted her during the day, you talk her down during the day, and then in the night you just want to come and have sex, and then she will not feel it. So I want to believe that how sex is initiated, it starts during the day. Not just maybe the few minutes to the action.
Okay. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo, and esteemed members of Panelists. Until people start preparing for marriage instead of wedding day, we are bound to have homes out there with shaky foundations. Also, we have many pastors, many out there who have become counselors, of which is not the field of calling. Thanks. Leonga watching from Boya, very important here.
Yeah. No, in fact, what he's saying is just a peak.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly. And the issue is this kind of insecurity that has entered also even in the church is so disturbing. There is nothing wrong for me not to be able to, I feel I'm not engrossed in a particular area, and I recommend a fellow minister, a fellow servant of God to work with, a church member in that particular domain. There's nothing challenging in that. Yeah. So it's some kind of sense of insecurity that is causing all of this. What I want to say before I chip in the little contribution I want to say is that, please, our viewers should bear with us. When we are discussing here, it is as easy as having cheap data and be throwing words. Relationship issues are not written on stone. And most often when we're talking here, we're fighting with time, we're fighting with, so somebody can say something and not end up maybe balancing it the way it is, but get the spirit of what the person was saying, flow with other things and flow with the other panelists. Because we're not talking here in individual terms, we talk and complement one another. Yeah, that's what I really want to drive across. But now there is something when it comes to this issue of people, having these challenges within their marital spheres. Now, when you keep thinking, even because I have a little worry when we keep even thinking that experience or that discussion during premarital is a magic formula. It is not even. There are some people who got married, sexually very active, and one thing leads to the other and their sexuality begins to deteriorate. What do we also do with such cases? There are people who got married and maybe over time they became diabetic, for instance, diabetic, yes. And his sexual performance, is no longer. Some
don't even have erection at all.
They don't have at all.
Yes.
So in such a case, we should be very careful to not just make this thing to look like there is one formula written on stone somewhere. Most often we encourage that when there are issues within a marital sphere, let customized solutions be sought for. When I say customized, that at times some people think that they can just, a question on air like that, they can just receive a satisfactory answer. There are situations where you must get into and ask one question, ask 2 questions, 3 questions, 4 questions, and get into the root of the matter before you can even give a suggestion that this is how the couple can go about it. So I was saying that the aspect of some people thinking that they must, the premarital sex, for instance, is some wonderful solution. It is not, and that is not what any of us here is recommending, because there are some people who might be thinking that if you don't test, you are marrying a woman you have not tested, how are you sure that woman can perform, or the man, how can the man perform? That's not what we're talking about here.
Very complicated message from an individual.
So go on.
We can't. Okay. We can't think that is a very is a great solution ahead of time, because there are some people who, in their singlehood, they might have been, you know, very active from one person to the other, or in their singlehood they had, because, you know, something you're doing with a conscience that is pricking you, you might not release freely about it. But finally, when you know that I am legally married now and I am entitled to sex, the person's, you know, system picks up. So people should not concentrate. You should not capitalize on this issue of premarital sex as a test issue, that it is a magic formula. Talking about the aspect, I want to go back to the issue of some pastors going into this thing. We are recommending, and sincerely too, that as a pastor, care very much about marriage and family life within your church.
Yes.
This is a key aspect of ministry that when you miss out on, by first of all not living as an example, as a model to your Christians, and then caring about their marital situation, it is very slippery. Your ministry can crumble in the twinkle of an eye because of it. We have many people who have left churches because they think maybe the way they handled their premarital stuff was not satisfactory or was not good. So when we are growing in ministry to church people, to our church leaders, as we are growing in ministry, we should make sure that we put in place dispositions to be able to mentor people when they are about getting married and after they have gotten married. For instance, this is of sexuality. When we have couples meetings, I don't remember us ever having a couples meeting without talking about sexuality. At least the ones we have, the big ones at the annual, that is stated annually, we must always talk about sexuality. So some people, they shy away from such meetings and claim that, no, I've been married for 10 years, and to them that longevity is a factor that, you know, is just so wonderful, that they know very well, of which it is not.
They can be very ignorant.
They have been managing.
They've been managing. They've been living at the periphery of marriage, but finally when they got into something, they know that in fact there was more to it than what they have been living within the 10 years or 15 years they are claiming to have known.
Okay, let me take a few some messages you may react to. Hey, good evening to all just contribute to your program. One thing is that sex is a spiritual and physical, so if you have combined yourself through sex, it's very hard to stop, so we should avoid it if we have not made up our minds to start it. Okenya is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please ask Madam Asanji how someone can say the number of times he or she wants to have sex if she has never experienced the sex, because you can only talk from experience. Desmond is writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Leo and Boris from Bamenda. I'm in a relationship with my girl for 3 years now, and she is denying me from sex, saying that we shall enjoy it when we married, that she's still a virgin, and says it will be the only gift she will offer me when we are married. I really love her, and I am equally sexually attracted. I love sex. I don't know what to do. Good evening, sir. I'm Fabian from Bamenda. We know there are servants of God who are filled with the Spirit of God, but who often see some men of God counseling couples about marriage, but the same pastors is not married yet. So can such counsel yield fruits? Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thanks so much for the wonderful program. Special greetings to Mrs. Asanji Yvette and Apostle Ambe. I don't see any reason why divorced couples should even have each other's contact, especially if there is no child involved in the relationship. talk less of having sex. Sumbele Kelvin is writing from Kong Samba. Good evening, Mr. Liam. Winnie watching from Douala. You said no sex before marriage. What if after marriage you discover that the man cannot perform the way you want? Good evening to you guys. Clinton from Yaoundé. I'm really enjoying the program. Keep up the good work. Yes, this issue of satisfaction. Premarital sex is not.
Yes, we don't support premarital sex. We don't accept it. We don't support it. Now we will not, because that is why we say that talk about it, discuss on it. I am somebody that is very hot. I am somebody that I like when I want to have 3 children in my marriage. I'm somebody that I don't like sex always. This one will say I'm somebody that like me sex always. Now, when you hear all that, if you want to continue the relationship, you continue because you like the terms. But if you don't want to continue, you leave it. That is what it means to discuss sex. It does not mean that you can continue. You will go ahead and start testing and whatever. How many people will you test? If you test and it does not go,
that is the thing.
How many people will you test?
And then
yes,
once you're testing, they're testing you.
Yeah, they're testing you.
So it is a matter of testing and testing.
And when
each
they
other.
test you, you are not powerful. They don't say do man na lele man, 2 minutes man, and
that's
they're gone.
Yeah, so but I don't know. Can we address an issue? There are many women today who are living in a home or in homes, yes, right? The man cannot satisfy the wife, and they are living together for 3, 4, 5 years because the man cannot have an erection. It may be a medical condition, or this 7, 10 years. Yes, she's there. How do you cope with such a situation?
Look,
Apostle Ambe,
I want to talk about this thing.
What I'm asking now?
Yes,
okay,
that and this thing. Because number one, many people think that sex is just the break. No. There is a way you can satisfy a woman 100% without even using the break.
Yes. Okay.
So how do women satisfy themselves? Ask yourself that question. That's woman they satisfy themselves.
That's the devil.
How do women satisfy themselves? It shows that a man can play that role very well and even more because of what? It's your wife. Now your woman, you know, will fear anything. You can play that same role. Just learn it. Not be a wrong thing for learner. Because if you don't learn it today, your man will go outside and go and do it. If you don't learn it today, your woman will go outside and go and do it. That is exactly what I'm trying to talk about. 100% of sex can go on without the break. So when somebody says that my husband does not have erection or whatever, that one is just joke. Their mind is somewhere else. They just want to do something. They just want to do something. That's exactly what I was looking at. But I think that where we are right now is to be able to save some homes. And some people deny this thing. They make it as if sex does not matter. But let me tell you, it matters. Ask those who are in homes that they don't get it. They will tell you that they are living in nightmares.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all in the panelists. Nice seeing Mr. Asanji there in the studio, glued to my screen for the wonderful program. Thomas is writing from Dibanda. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. I'm enjoying the program and learning a lot. Apostle Ambe will never cease to amaze me. Kudos to all the panelists. More grace to you, Mr. Liu. This is writing from Kumba. Good evening, panelists. Apostle Ambe is supposed to be a technical advisor at the presidency. Okay, thank you very much, Apostle Ambe. What of a case where both families are so disappointed, they were insults and that? How do you overcome this? How do you reconcile? Because you, especially in Africa, you are reconciling. You are also reconciling two families that were broken. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Leo. The issue is, I believe anger has a season.
Okay.
No anger lasts forever. People can boil here like a pot of fufu corn.
Yes.
After a month or two,
it's over.
It's over. Oh. To me, only time heals wounds.
Okay.
Yes, and I believe that there is no wound that lasts forever. If people can get angry today and insult themselves, even fight and injure each other, after 6 months, those memories will be gone. Then they will start seeing more better needs to reconcile and live together than to keep those hatches. That's one of the reasons I believe that every wound has a season. To me, Some divorce are born of temporal wounds that were not treated very well. Yes, a wound that was not properly treated led to a divorce. And then as the days go by, now the wound gets healed. It gets healed. The people are forced to come back together because what caused them to separate had died. The tension that came between the two of them, the anger, the insult, the division probably died away. Then now they stayed away from each other. They realized that their advantages were even stronger than the disadvantages that separated them. Probably sometimes a 10% heated anger can destroy a 90% advantageous marriage. And the only way to realize that, but how? This one was not really bad. When women come to me and say, my husband is this, I ask her the first question I ask her that, give me a score of the man on 100. You should say, I can give him 75. I say, if you give him 75, it means he has scored A grade. You have an A grade husband, then you want to leave him? He said, no, it's just that this area, like a lady is writing me here now, and say, my husband's problem is women. Yes. Women. He said, every time I check his phone, I will see another lady that he has chatted, and then when I want to talk, he will say, I haven't answered. He says it's his cousin, it's his friend. There's no relationship attached to it. I have not answered that one already. Another person has written to me here and said, she doesn't have desire for sex. That she has lost marriages. She hates the thing. Is she sick? I said, sister, you are not sick. I asked her, were you mutilated genitally? She said, no, because there are women who are circumcised. And once you are circumcised by some tradition, automatically your drive for sex dies. It doesn't make you barren. It only makes you lost that desire for sex. Somebody can have sex with you, you can conceive, carry a child, but that push will never be there. So a man can be killing himself on you, there's no response. That's female genital mutilation, which is practiced by some traditions in Cameroon and other parts of Africa. Number two, a demonic influence can be there. Yes. We cannot downplay the play of evil spirits. A demonic influence can play the role for you not to have feel for a man. When a man has a spiritual wife, he doesn't feel for women. When a woman has a spiritual husband, she doesn't develop affection for men. That's one of the disadvantages you see. When we want to handle this from a spiritual point of view, they will say they are religious fanatics. Demons are real. Whether you take it from us, you don't take it from us, they are real. So some of those demonic forces are there. And then to the best of my understanding, there are persons also whom you might have come in contact with them who have not mastered you. Because when we talk this thing and talk this thing and talk this thing, we will go back to the mastery. We must go back to the mastery. I'm telling you the truth. We are sitting here. This is Madam Asanji. She's married. She knows her husband better. And the husband knows her better. I know my wife better. My wife knows me better. Alfred Esingeh knows his wife better. And the wife knows him better. And then it goes round. Now, if you come and meet somebody you are not used to, you don't know her G spots, you don't know the striking areas to sting that will motivate them, you may one day go and meet the lady and the lady feel like you are also a novice. Do you know that you can be an expert to one woman and a novice to another? Yes. You can equally be an expert to one man and a dunce to another person. That's because you have mastered the person you are an expert to and not the same. For instance, a teacher can leave one school and teaches very well. Take the same student to another school, he cannot teach. Because he has mastered the class and understands the students very well and knows where to drive them. So it has to do with individuals. We are going to give you general teachings here, but when you go back home, that individual you call your husband is an institution you have to take your time and study in terms of character, in terms of emotion, in terms of likes, dislikes, in terms of sexual drives, all those things. Study that man. The same to put that woman in front of you the next 1 year in that home. Study her very well. Like Apostle Esingeh was saying, there are many situations where a woman can enter orgasm without penis penetrated. The same with a man can ejaculate without being without penetrating. Okay. So we should understand this very well.
Yeah, in addition Apostle, there's a question for you, but just take note that you are coming. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please help me ask Apostle Ambe. He always says that in every rule there is an exception, right? Yes. He says that according to the church doctrine, marriage before sex or sex before marriage. What is the exception for that rule? Enlighten us, please.
To the exception to the rule of sex before marriage. There's no exception.
No sex before marriage.
No sex before marriage.
There's no exception to that. There's no exception to that rule?
No, the word of God.
In the context.
In the context of God's word.
There's no
exceptions there.
Okay.
God's word is final.
So there are no exceptions. Yes.
It's authoritative. It's sovereign.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to also add to what Apostle Ambe was saying, that some of these things also have to do with seasons in a marriage. There are seasons that a couple, it will not be moving.
It will not be sure. That season.
There will be a season like that.
So even with financial stress.
Yes.
That is it.
Yes.
So when such seasons come, it should not also lay a foundation for a lot of tension and calamity within your marriage.
Patient.
And you should never divorce that period.
Those are some of the errors people commit. Because your husband or your wife maybe is falling short, or maybe of one thing or the other, within a given season, you just go gaga. You just, you know. So I counsel with one soldier and they say for some time it wasn't going. Their sexuality wasn't going. So they had to take some time. They prayed for 4 days, and they said on the fourth day as they were praying, and in fact the thing picked up again. So they were testifying and were very happy about it. So this thing has to do with when it is not moving. Maybe on the side of the husband or the wife, there must be that kind of collaboration. There are moments, there are periods of the month, as Mrs. Asanji said from the onset, there are periods of the month that the woman, in fact, she will be suffering from some kind of they call frigidity, right? She should be frigid. She can't get wet in preparation for the act of sexual intercourse. There'll be moments like that. Within a month, I mean just within a month. Yes, then, yes, there are lubricants that there are lubricants that could be used, but I'm saying that that is one aspect. Then there will be an aspect and another period where, in fact, for a period of time, it could be that the man is going through a stress, financial stress. It could be that the man is going through some challenge, or the woman herself is going through some challenge that you will just need to manage the period as a transitional period, an austerity period, and then go through it and pick up back. It should not define your relationship. And
Reverend, please just to add, there are times, if ask people that have been married for years, they will tell you that there are times that they don't feel it.
Yes.
It is normal. Don't make it a problem. That is it. It's a temporal period. Be patient with each other. If the man comes back home, he is stressed maybe with work, or he's stressed financially, it is possible that he might find it difficult to stay erected for a while. It's not like he's having erection problems, but it's just because psychologically he cannot concentrate.
And when man eats your okra plenty.
Okay, and then when he's taking too much sweet. But that's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to react to
what Apostle?
Yes, about what the case of that lady that said she does not have. Now I handled a case like that, and it was due to her first experience. The first experience was not good. Reasons being that it was rape. So maybe you might want to inquire from that lady if she was raped, because the first experience, normally if you ask every woman, their first experience is never something that they can enjoy. So maybe if she was raped, like a case I handled that is similar to that, she was raped and then she grew hatred for sex to the level where even when she's bathing, she cannot even go down to bathe to wash her private part. She finds it difficult to just even go anywhere around that area. That means that area was a no-go area. She will bathe every other part of her body, but when it comes to that area, no. Now that tells you the level at which the trauma, she was traumatized due to the first. Then how will she not even enjoy sex if she cannot even bathe herself? So I think we can talk about that. And then somebody asked me that how can you talk about the number of sex, how often you want to have sex if you have never had it? Don't you feel erected sometimes? I think I should be asking that person. Normally, if you're healthy, you normally feel erected, like once in a while, either by sight, by seeing something, or in the morning you have your erections. That shows that you're medically okay. For a woman, you don't need to have sex, but there are days in the month that you naturally feel like it. It shows that you're also biologically okay. So please don't mix it up. And then we're just rushing over a lot of things because of time. But I want to say this: when people say that if they get married and it does not go, people quickly think of that if the prick is small. That's what most ladies quickly think of, if the prick is small. Let me tell you, ladies, there are small pricks that can make you reach orgasm. And then there are bigger pricks that can make you, that will never satisfy you or never make you to reach orgasm anywhere. Yes, so it is not the size. And it is not also how hard. Sometimes you can take it slowly and you reach orgasm. So the mindset that you have, I think people need to change their mindset, because when they talk about getting married and then what if it's not satisfactory, it's because of the kind of mentality people have, the mindset. you must change your mindset. It is not the sizes. It's not how hard.
Yeah.
So please know that. I just have to maybe throw more light.
Yeah, but this is an issue. You are saying that it's not how hard, it's not the size. We need special lessons. How do we learn this to satisfy one
we talk
another?
about this during premarital counseling.
A lot of, and even post-marital.
Yes, even post-marital.
There are people who have issues
yes,
of sexuality,
then
and come with they talk about it, and they say it's gotten pretty much better.
I have said one thing here, Mr. Dan, I'm still repeating it. Every woman and every man should study the anatomy of their person in question.
Okay.
That's the simple truth. You can have a very large stuff, but you're not meeting the target, as she's saying. And you can equally have a small stuff, but you know. And I've said it over and over. It is not guaranteed that you must have orgasm through insertion or penetration. No.
You know what you need to know is that there's a difference between love making and just having sex.
Sex is casual.
Yes. That thing you are talking about, there are some people that are used to the hard one, and that is what gives them their G-spot climax. Some people. So if they want to marry you and they know that you're not going to give them that thing, they will end that marriage.
Okay.
Yes. So we must take note about it.
Yes, we are moving towards
outside. Don't spoil it.
Yes, outside don't spoil. Let me take some messages. What our televiewers think about this topic for today. They are so many messages are sent from those who are watching. I'll take some of them. Oops. Wow. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Anger is a strong person is destroying marriage. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I want Apostle Ambe number. I want to talk to him privately. Please, Apostle Ambe gave his number already. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the entire house. I am Mamu Nyeta writing from Douala. Apostle Ambe, formatting my brain. Thanks to you all, I have learned a lot of lessons. What the lady said about putting your partner in a good mood before sex is very important, and that's the fact, sir. God bless her. My fiance and I had problems since February at the point that families intervened, but it did not work out. As I'm talking, we are back now without much talking because the wounds healed as Apostle Ambe mentioned. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The topic of today is so interesting. Keep on. God bless you. Ote Samuel Etonge writing from Big Ngbanji. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm watching from Kumba. The topic is very interesting. The problem is that at time, if you want to teach a man, he will call you a prostitute. Thank you people for very much. Vivian writing, thanks so much for the program. A panel in the house. In my own opinion, love making is so necessary to teach both parties before marriage. Love making is something natural created by God. Miss Sheila is writing from Boya, and some women have the only exception for sex before marriage is for virgins. Good evening. What you are saying is true. Paja Clement is writing from Yaoundé in Mokolo. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love the program. It's a very sensitive topic. I have a worry. If your man cheats on you and you discover it and he wants to solve the problem by making love to you and you don't show any interest and you no longer feel for him, how can I do to develop or gain back that lost feeling? Good evening, sir. I'm Violet from Limbe. Is it advisable to stress on no sex before marriage to interns who already had been having sex before deciding to get married? Yes. Now, Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, we're talking about couples having sex while they are divorced. Is it advisable at all?
It is not.
Okay.
It's not advisable at all because, to the best of my understanding, divorced persons are no longer husband and wife. Any sex in that period is considered adultery. By the state, you are an adulterer. Yes, because you are having intercourse with a woman that you are not married to. Both of you are divorced, so it's not advisable. Religiously speaking, it is also adultery. It is not acceptable. And I think if there were reasons enough for you to run that home, despite the availability of that sex, it means those reasons were really stronger than the sex. Yes. If at all with all the sex you had at your disposal, which was fully yours, you still had stronger reasons to run away and divorce, it means the reasons that took you away were actually stronger than that sex. You are just enjoying that sex now because the reasons that chased you away are no longer frequent because you are not close to the person. If you stay back close to the person, the reasons that took you away will still come back. And if they come back, that passion for that sex will equally die. So it is just distance that is causing the two of you to still develop interest in having sexual intercourse. So if I thought you were bold enough to walk out of that relationship because of the way the person treated you, and you knew about the sex you've enjoyed probably for 8 to 9 to 10 years or to 6 to 5 years, and you still walked away, then I'm sure the reason that actually took you away were stronger than the sex.
Apostle, can you provide an answer to this sister? Good evening to the house. I'm Sharon, writing from Betua. I am in a relationship with a man for 5 years with a child. That man have been promising me marriage, and I have decided that sex can only continue after him getting married to me. Is that a good idea?
Well, you made a mistake before by started having sex before marriage and you got pregnant. Now, if you want to correct it, I don't see any problem with it. You can correct it, and then the thing is that don't stay with him in the same house and you are denying him sex. If you want to solve the problem, go to your parents' house. Because one, you have already disgraced your parents. Now, go back to your parents. And then from there, you can begin to talk about you don't want sex. You know, you sleep with man for the same bed, you tell you say no one sex.
I'm bathing in front of him.
Yes.
Just in front of him.
So this, and sometimes you even be sitting in a corny way, in one way, so that you should be seeing it. And then, yes.
Okay, Mr. Asanji, good evening. I have been married for 3 years now, but for the past 1 year, my husband have not been sexually attracted to me. No matter how hard I try, I don't know what to do.
Your husband has not understood your love language. Please, I mentioned something here that how he treats you during the day matters a lot. Women are emotional beings. If you stir her emotions very well, prepare her before you're leaving the house. You make her feel okay, and then while you are at work, even you still check on her, send her love messages. You know, coming back home, you buy her a gift. If you can speak her love language.
No, but the issue is with the woman. The problem is the man is not sexually attracted
to the woman.
Yes.
That's what her challenge is. The man does
she is married. She has been married to this guy for 3 years, but for the past 1 year, he has been looking at her like some strange person,
like his sister.
I think, like we mentioned hygiene. You know, sometimes women like kaba. Or one burial t-shirt or something, you're coming back home and the woman is in kaba all the time. And then one other thing, women put to bed, and if you're not careful, they let themselves loose. You come back, if you want to embrace, Bobby is smelling. You know, when you're breastfeeding, Bobby is leaking. So you might come back just to embrace, Bobby is leaking and all of that. So those are the kind of things that you cannot even breathe fresh air.
The man may also have another woman.
Yes, it's possible that maybe he's getting some kind of attraction from another lady. Yes. But I think maybe there can be things in the home that maybe the lady is also doing that is pushing him or maybe killing that affection. But then, if we don't talk to you, that's why we say during counseling we take time to prop. Yeah. We prop your problem. We talk about it before we can advise. That's why if you come into my inbox and say I should give you advice, I tell you I don't give advice because it can be misleading.
Yes.
Yeah. Just hearing something and then just jumping into it.
And that is why you see I don't like to give my number again, because people come and impose to me what I should tell them.
Yes. Now, when people are divorced, in this case, because there are implications, people should understand that when you divorce today, before you even decide on divorcing, you also think of the life you would be living after that, because if you are going to get married, if you are a Christian, it's sin now. You have to get married only you have to get married
after your spouse is dead.
Is dead.
Yes.
So those are the implications.
Yes.
So people should also start learning about this. Yes,
that's why most of it, I think when we were discussing this issue about issue of divorce on this panel, we encourage that this aspect of jumping into divorce is just because people don't count the cost. There's a cost benefit analysis that's supposed to be done before jumping into divorce. There are a lot of things, and we were saying that we take some things with a pinch of salt. On the way there have been maybe violence, when violence has entered into it. When things are still manageable, work very hard for your marriage. There are many things that are involved. Take for instance, you've gotten divorced, and then there's a sharing, a legal distribution of property. You want to come together again. There are many ramifications.
Yes.
There are many things that touch many different stakeholders. So when you have gotten to a level in your marriage where things are not moving, we recommended that try judicial separation to make sure that the parties you involve in your matters in your marriage are really objective and neutral to a very significant degree.
Yes.
There are people who come in to rather rekindle the fire.
Yes.
And then, in addition to what Apostle Ambe said about wounds are healed over time, we should be also very careful that what is happening between when the wound is created and when the wound should be healed is very important, because there are some wounds that become cancerous. Some wounds become cancerous, and that if you don't manage things well within the period, if you people have maybe you've gotten divorced or you've gotten angry and you are separated, within the period, do the best you can. And it holds true for all social relationships. Within the period, don't fan the anger and the tension by the kind of things you do. Make sure you do your best to try to be calming down, try to, be accommodative to the person, try to build tolerance, try to build that forgiveness that you ought to build. Because if you don't do it so, as time is passing, the things are not going to degenerate. The gap will only get wider and wider and wider. This thing we're talking about gets more ramified if these people got married, divorced, and then one or both of them are remarried to different people, and then they still feel sexually attracted. It gets more ramified. Yes. It gets more complex because you are now sexually attracted to somebody's wife or to somebody's husband, if at all that would be marriage, if it is Christian marriage. So it gets more ramified in that you must be very careful in the way you manage it, else you'll be living in a divorced situation, having sexual intercourse. It means that you people are cheating on
your spouse with the ex-wife or the ex-husband. I'm
telling you, it gets more ramified.
And I just want to say this, please. One of the key reasons why people divorce is because they have been accumulating unresolved conflicts.
Sure.
Now, when conflicts are not properly resolved, you see that at one moment, you've accumulated a lot of things that you don't even know where to start fixing them. It's just like this thing happens, you keep. This other thing happens, you keep. Then finally, when you want to say, even if we want to start talking, where do we even start from? A lot has happened. I think I had a case, sorry, it's a story, but it's true that a lady just got up and said she wants divorce from the husband. The husband was like, we've never even quarreled. Where is this divorce thing coming from? And then the wife says, I've been accumulating things. I've been trying that we shouldn't query. So sometimes when your spouse is letting out or is letting out how they feel, please, it is very important, because than staying silent and accumulating it is more dangerous. Once you accumulate and accumulate, you reach a certain stage where you cannot even swallow anymore. And at that moment, you think of nothing else but divorce.
Mr. Leo, you see why I was laughing is that many people now, before they want to even finally divorce, they have gotten another woman to marry.
How about
that's what is happening now.
How about the women?
The same thing.
Okay.
Before you see they want to finish case in the court,
they're already seeing somebody.
They was seeing another person, and maybe it is in that person that influenced them to take the final decision.
Okay. Okay. We want to thank you all for coming. Apostle Alfred Esingeh, thank you for coming to educate our televiewers who are very appreciative of this program this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Thank you very much, my fellow panelists, for us doing justice to this particular topic. I want to say that what we are doing here does not really say that maybe that is how we are, but we are saying what ought to be and how it should go so that we can help people. Don't take it personal. It's not going to help you.
Okay. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. It's always a joy to be here.
Thank you too for coming, Reverend Alfred. Reverend Tatoh.
One very good thing is that I've been having many times Reverend Tatoh. It was a pleasure, Mr. Leo. Thank you very much. Thanks to it was great having Mrs. Asanji live and direct. The only error is that the Prime Hour baby is not here presented. So we are so glad you were there. We'll be here always as the Lord grants us the grace to be.
Okay, thank you too, Mr. Asanji. We are very, very happy, honored to have you live with us in the studio here in Douala. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. And just that answer to that last question, ladies should also initiate sex. I mean, wives. Wives should also initiate that sex. It should not be just the man always asking for it. He is your husband, so feel free to ask him sex. And then last words, couples, please do everything to work on your sexual life. Take it, make it more often like communion. Say, do it as often as you remember me. Do it as often as you remember Christ, and you'll be blessed. Okay,
we want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. Thank you, Eli, and to you, Desmond, for producing this edition of the program. We also want to say thank you to you, Tambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do out there. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.